Hey guitar fam and friends, my name is Nate Savage and welcome to this easy song lesson where we're going to take a look at the Otis Redding song, Dock of the Bay. It's an interesting song. I googled it and found out some background on it. Very interesting backstory about this. He recorded this and released it right before he died, and it was his biggest commercially successful song. He had been slugging it out in smaller venues, gigging his brains out, and then finally gets a hit and dies in a plane crash. Anyway, I digress. Let's get into this. The jam track and the chord chart are available for you on guitarfam.com. The link will be below. Let's go ahead and take a look at the chords that you need to play through this. This is interesting because you would think it's in the key of G major, the way things sound and the way the gravity of the song always goes back to G, but there are no minor chords in the song, and there are several chords. There's like 6, 7, 8 chords, something like that. But we'll take a look at what's going on. They're all major chords. You have a G major, and you have a B7 or B major, or you can use a B, just a B bar chord, B major bar chord. Then you have a C major, A major, E major, a D major, and an F major. Now you can use a full bar chord, you can use just this 3-note version of it, or the 4-note version of it. Whichever one you want to do is fine. And if you'll notice, like, you'll see, okay, the G, C, and D chords fit the key of G major, that's fine, but all the rest of the other chords do not fit the key of G major, because the key of G major is G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, and F sharp diminished. And you'll see that there's no B major, it's a B minor, or B7, it's a B minor in the key of G, and there's no A major, it's an A minor, but we're using A major here. And there's no E major, it's an E minor. And there's no F at all, it's an F sharp diminished, so you have a lowered major 7. So go down a whole step from what key you're in, G, and use a major chord, so an F major chord. So this brings up some interesting things to talk about. We won't get into them too much just because this is an easy song lesson. Just realize that G, C, and D fit the key, all the rest don't, and that's okay as long as you know the chords and can get through the progressions. All right, now that you know what chords are going to be used, you either know them or you need to work on them a little bit. That's cool, spend some time on that. You can get through this entire song with just one strumming pattern, and that's just a straight 8th-note strumming pattern. If that's what you want to do, if that's where your skill level is, that's totally fine. You can just do straight 8th-note strumming pattern. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And that will do the job. That'll get the job done. I'm going to give you some tips on how to dress this up and make it sound a little bit more like the recording, and give it just some more dynamics to your strumming. But the first thing, the ground zero, is to just have that 8th-note strumming pattern down. So you can do that for the entire song if you want to. And that's what we do for the intro too. The intro of the song is just a straight 8th-note strumming pattern on a G major chord for 4 measures. And you'll see the repeat signs there. So just 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I was playing that pretty cut and dried, very straight laced. One thing you can do to the strumming pattern, if you're using just that straight 8th-note strumming pattern to bring this to life a little bit, is to play just the lower couple or a few strings on the 1 and the 3 and then on the 2 and 4 and, or on the 2 and 4, play the higher strings. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that gives you a feeling kind of like the drum kit, kick, snare, kick, snare, instead of just this. Like, it's a little monotonous. And another thing you can do is to accent the 2 and 4s, the downstrokes on the 2s and 4s of each measure. That'll give your strumming patterns a little more shape, and it's a lot better than just the standard. So that's the strumming pattern you can use throughout the entire song if you want to keep it really simple. And if you need help getting your strumming to the next level, we just released the Strumming Doctor course that helps you with dynamics, timing, technique, all of those things. Go there and check it out. The first module is free if you have your complimentary guitar family account. So go through that and it'll help you out with your strumming a lot. Let's get into the verse of the song, the progression for the verse, and I'll show you the other kind of more dressed up strumming pattern that I like to use throughout the entire song. The progression for the verse, and this is the simplified version of it, we'll get a little more detailed here in a second, is just one measure of G, 1, 2, 3, 4, one measure of B7 or B, 2, 3, 4, then one measure of C, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then one measure of A, 1, 2, 3, 4. And for each verse, you just play that chord progression twice. And every time you see a verse, verses 1, 2, and 3, that's what you're going to play. And you could do that with a straight eighth note strumming pattern, that's fine. Do it again. And that will get you through the whole song, like I said, straight eighth notes with those little dynamic tricks we talked about. But one thing that'll make, or a couple things that'll make this sound, you know, a little bit more appropriate for the song is to just play a quarter note on the downstroke of the first measure of the G and play just 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And then on the upstroke, on the and of 4 is when you switch to the next chord. And then you let that ring out on the downstroke 1 of the next measure. And then go and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's the basic strumming pattern, kind of the dressed up strumming pattern we're going to be using for this entire song. So 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that downstroke on the G that's a quarter note kind of gives more shape to your strumming pattern and fits what's going on with the other instruments in the song a little bit better. So and pushing that that B7 a half of a beat earlier on the and of 4, really, if you want to play along to the track, you really need to be able to do that, or kind of anticipate or push that B7 is going to be really important to make it sound right. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you have the same exact rhythm for the next two measures on the C and A, but the chords, you know, change. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 2, and 3, and 4. And one thing you'll notice here is that my right hand never stops strumming. It uses that constant strumming technique and just keeps your right hand going no matter what. And you'll see that in the chord chart for this. The strumming pattern has some downstrokes in parentheses that say, hey, you're still performing that downstroke, you're just not digging into the string. So 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and And that's the main strumming pattern that I really use for the entire song. The intro and the outro have the straight eighth note strumming pattern, and there's some things going on in the bridge that are a little bit different, but nothing too crazy if you can do this. So let me play the entire verse for you, then I'll move on to the chorus. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm still doing all those dynamic strumming tips. I'm trying to get some of the lower strings on the 1s and 3s, higher strings on the 2s and 4s, and putting accents on 2s and 4s as well. All right, moving on to the chorus. The strumming pattern stays the same for the first little bit here. For the first 4 measures, you're just alternating between a G for one measure, E for one measure, a G for another measure, E for another measure with that same strumming pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the first half of the chorus. Next, you move to a G major, and here's where things kind of straighten out. We don't push on the ands of fours any chords. All of the chords here are just getting one measure each, and you just have down, down, up, down, up, down, up. So G for a measure, down, down, up, down, up, down, up. And then move to an A for one measure, down, down, up, down, up, down, up. Then G for another measure, down, down, up, down, up, down, up. Then E for one measure, down, 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 down. So it straightens out there and it gets a little more predictable, but you have those first four measures that have the strumming pattern that's pushed, and then the second four measures of the chorus are just a little bit straighter. Let me play the whole thing for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the verse and the chorus of the song. Anytime you see a verse or chorus, those are the things you're going to play there. 3 verses and 3 choruses. So you got those covered. Next, we need to go to the bridge of the tune. So it starts on a G. It starts on a G major for 2 beats, and you just play down, down, up, and then you switch to a D on beat 3 and play down, up, down on 3 and 4, and then you have a push or anticipate that on and a 4 move to a C and 1. And then the whole next measure is C, and 2, and 3, and 4. So that's the main phrase. You play that twice for the bridge to start out. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Once you play that twice, go to a G for the next measure and just play 1, 2, and then for 3, 4 end, you have D, so just down, down, up. And kind of the same idea for the next measure, just on a C, you have 1, 2 and then G, 3, 4 end. So let me play the bridge for you up to this point. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the next measure is where you switch to an F major and just play down, down, up, down, up, down, up. And that's just 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And then you move to a D for the next full measure. And I play all downstrokes here because it's a build into the third verse. Just 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. So here's the whole bridge for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. From there, you just go into verse 3 and chorus 3, which are exactly like verse 1 and 2, and then chorus 1 and 2. And the only other part you need to be aware of is just the outro of the tune where the whistle solo is, and that's just, it straightens out there too, to just a straight 8-note strumming pattern. It's 3 measures of G major, followed by 1 measure of E major, and you just alternate between that, and you repeat it 3 times and it fades out. So 3 measures of G, 1 measure of E, repeat, straight 8-note strumming pattern. So 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3. Comes the E, back to G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. By that time, the song's faded out already, so there you go. All right, work on the parts until you have them down on their own, and then you can put them all together to play through the entire song. Let's go through the order real quick just so you know what to expect. It's pretty standard, pretty easy. You just have the intro, which is just 4 bars of a G major with a straight 8th note strumming pattern. And then you have verse 1, which is just the verse progression, that 4-bar phrase that you play twice. Then you move on to the chorus at the, I believe that's the 8 measures there, and you just play through that once. And then you'll see some words at the end of chorus 1 that say da segno, and that just tells you to go up to the little squiggly sign at the beginning of verse 1 and play everything you played again. So go back to verse 1 and you're going to hit verse 2 and chorus 2 again, exact same as verse 1 and chorus 1. After that, once you get to the end of chorus 2, you just play the bridge. After the bridge, you just play verse 3 and chorus 3, which is the exact same as the other verses and choruses. And then you do the outro. It's that 4-bar phrase with 3 measures of G and 1 measure of E, and you just repeat that 3 times. All right, this one isn't too bad. There's only 1 bar chord in the whole song, but again, you don't have to play that. You can do just the 3-note version of the F if you want to. And you can get through the entire song with just a straight 8-note strumming pattern, but try to get those pushes in there on the ands of 4 where you see them on the chord chart. Quick little addendum here. This is a great song to practice your bar chords with. So if this is really easy for you to get through this with these open chords, take this song and try to play the whole thing with bar chords. I was just outside on the porch with my wife going over this song for a live stream tomorrow, and this is the first time I played it. It's like, hey, it sounds better with bar chords. It sounds more like something that I would do if it was just acoustic guitar and a singer. So just a G, like we'll go from the beginning. Here you go. Let's see. So G, intro, you know, just like it is on the chord chart, and then for the G, and then you can go to this B right here, then a C, then an A. That is what you can play for the verses. And you can even do some walk-ups if you want to. So start on that G, and then, so G, A, B flat, B, C, and here's that da 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 da. You can go C, B, B flat, A, just all the way stepwise down, half step, da 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 da. So you can do that for the verses, and for the chorus you can do G, E, G, E, G, A, G, or you can do this A up here, it doesn't matter whichever one. That way you stay right here with just that E shape for the chorus. For the bridge, just do the G, D, C, G, D, C, G, D, C, G, F. And I would probably just do the open D so I don't have to jump all the way up here. Anyway, if you want to use the bar chords with this just to get some extra practice in with your bar chords, that's the way I would do it. Here is a full performance for you. Let us know in the comments below what other easy songs you'd like to see. And don't forget, if you haven't gone to guitarfam.com to create your complimentary account, do that today. You'll have access to all of the jam tracks and the chord charts for this, but you'll also have access to all of our free courses, plus the first module of all of our premium courses like the Strumming Doctor, Fingerstyle Masterclass, and the Bar Chord Masterclass. See you guys later.
I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships go in. Then I'll watch them roll away again. Yeah, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Ooh, I'm just sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Headed for the Frisco Bay, 'cause I've had nothing to live for. It looked like nothing's gonna come my way, so I'm just gonna sit on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Change. Everything still remains the watching the time